Okay, right. I'm here today, as you probably read by the title, that I'm going to be reviewing WWE Raw 2 for the Xbox, which I don't think has really been given a fair review by many people that have reviewed it, whether it's a video or on a gaming website. So I just think that this game's very underappreciated. It was released in 2003, developed by Anchor, who made the UFC game for the Dreamcast. That got a lot of high rated reviews. But transition to wrestling, I don't think many people had high expectations. The first Raw was pretty average. Not really much to say about it. Had some fun things, but it was never along the lines of SmackDown series that came out at that time. So Raw 2, it was really expanded on this. It actually included a season mode that Raw 1 did not. But the problem with the season mode is it made very little sense. There was no voiceovers, there was no subtitles even, so basically you had no idea what was going on in the season mode. It can be considered a con, but I did consider it a pro as well, because you could really just make up what you wanted the storyline to be in your head. You could make up yourself what you wanted the wrestlers to actually be saying to each other. So that's, well, yeah. I mean, other things it's improved is it's definitely got better graphics than the first Raw. You have more choice of arenas rather than just the Raw is War arena, which you had in the last time. You have SmackDown, WrestleMania, all the pay-per-views that you have each year, and there's a hell of a lot more match types. So it's on par with what SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth, and other games at the time would released. It has a very good roster, over 60, about 64 wrestlers, I believe, and you have all the top stars: The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, Triple H, The Undertaker, all looking like they do at the time. And it has a great Create a Wrestler mode in this game, so you can actually make 64 wrestlers of your own to go with the 64 that are in the game. So I thought that was pretty good. And the Create a Wrestler mode, it is definitely on par with the SmackDown series, and quite possibly even better, because there's so much you can create. You can create your own entrance, you can create Titantrons. Just like SmackDown vs Raw 2010, they've been making this big deal about you can make highlight reels into Titantrons, but Raw 2 really gave you this ability very early on, and it was just, you could make up your wrestler doing moves, and then you could put like text up there to make it look like a Titantron. It wasn't the best in the world, but it really allowed you to make your own thing, and it was really cool. The Create a Wrestler mode allows you to edit existing wrestlers, similar to No Mercy for the N64. You can't actually edit their facial features, which means you can't really keep people like Jericho, Undertaker, who've changed their hairstyles. You can't really keep them up to date, but you can still edit attires, and it's still really realistic. So I'd really recommend this as one of the best Create a Wrestlers around. It supports custom soundtracks on the Xbox hard drive, so you can update pretty much any theme song you want from a CD. You can make your own CD. So that just works even better than the SmackDown games of today. The Royal Rumble's included in this game. I'm not sure if it was included in the first game. It's fairly realistic and fun, because you can actually go out of the ring during the Royal Rumble match. I don't think many other games let you do this. You can just roll under the ropes, and then the computer will target another computer opponent. So then you could just roll back in. You can roll in and out, and it made Royal Rumbles, easy but still fun. So I think the Royal Rumble is definitely one to look at if you're used to the SmackDown Royal Rumbles, because they're a lot different, and you might enjoy it. I think the WrestleMania 21 was the next game on the Xbox that was released. It was made by a new developer, and I really think that if they stuck with Anchor and made Raw 3, I think that would have been quite possibly the best, because they've really got the features now done in this one. They just really need to get used to the gameplay. I think it's the best wrestling game you can find on Xbox. I don't think it has any competition in that, right, even though it isn't the best in the world. It is compatible with the 360, so if you're watching this and think, oh, can I buy it, play it on 360, you can. The only thing you can't get is the custom soundtrack ability through the Xbox 360. Other than that, I believe you can get everything that the Xbox version has in this one. Now for a few of the cons of the game, and probably why people have been knocking it. The gameplay to me is way too slow. I like slow, I prefer simulation to arcade gameplay, but this is too slow for me, and what doesn't help is that some of the moves don't even look realistic. Suplexes, big boots, kicks, they just don't really come across like you'd see on television. So that can be a put off, considering that everything else about the game, the arenas and everything, it looks superb. and then they just ruin it by some of the animations. So that was kind of annoying. Some wrestlers that are included in the game, including Goldberg, who's a cover star, as we all know, as you can see on the cover, he looks more like a horse than Goldberg, and I know that's kind of insulting, but he does not look anything like Goldberg, and that's really disappointing because he's one of the people that you'd probably want to play as on this game, and it's really disappointing that they've really messed him up. Rey Mysterio's mask, it just doesn't even look like a mask, and it doesn't have the proper designs. You could, luckily, because you can edit the wrestlers in Create a Wrestler, you can give him his proper mask, so that was a relief. But he looks absolutely awful. They even edited his picture when you see him in the selection screen. They're all realistic photos, and they've edited his mask so it doesn't look like his mask, and they haven't done that in any other games. So I'm not quite sure why they've done that. That's pretty weird. Another thing is they don't have a location-specific damage. They don't have anything that you probably get used to in a SmackDown game nowadays. They have what's called a spirit meter, where basically if you keep doing so many moves in a row and you're really pounding your opponent, you'll go into the red on your spirit meter, and that's when you can perform your finishing move. But I can't say I'm a fan of this. It's not the best system for a wrestling game, to be honest with you, and it can get really annoying in a match that you have to, in order to execute your finisher, you have to always be on top in the match. You can't do like they're reckoning, or you have a momentum shift. You can't change the match. If you're getting beaten down, you're pretty much done. And that brings me on to some really dumb AI in this game. If it gets late into a match, they'll pin you, and if you kick out, but your voltmeter might say danger, so they're going to keep pinning you, and you're not going to have a chance to get up. You're going to keep pinning you, and it's going to get to the point where you want to quit the match, and that's a real shame because it offers so much, but they just completely forgot about that. And some of the AI just do so many stupid things, like they run in and attack the wrong people, and in interference and stuff like season mode, and it's pretty weird. And they've also included what they suppose is a counter button in this game, but I've never really understood how successful it is. I've pressed it, I've tried to time it, I've tried to continuously press it. I don't get much joy with it, so I don't really think there is proper reversals in this game, so I wouldn't expect that if you ever see this cheap. And a final word is that they haven't included the Elimination Chamber, which was pretty popular at this time. It was in Here Comes the Pain, and what strikes me as weird, I mean, I can understand why they don't include it in, say, the GameCube, because that's up to 4 players, and this is a 6-player match, but they have 6-player matches in this game. They don't have 6-man tag either, but they have 6-man like battle royal, and that doesn't really make sense. If you have 6 men, try and include as many 6-man matches as you can. That would make sense to me. But anyway, that's pretty much all I want to say on this game. It's very underrated, but it does have some annoying things on it, annoying things that you're not going to like. But I think that if you see this game cheap, it's definitely worth at least a rental, because it's a very nice wrestling game to play. I mean, the gameplay isn't the best, but you're definitely going to have fun with creative wrestlers and using the features of this game. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10. And if you can pick this up, if you can, for really cheap, for like 360 owners, I'd recommend it, because I think it's very fun, especially with friends. More with friends than it is with a computer. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend this. Okay, thanks everyone, and I'll be off now. Thank you. Bye bye.